Welcome back, everyone, to the Epics of Irindal. As stated just a moment ago, I'm going to give it a little bit longer recap, if you will. We're going to have a little longer recap session. A little, what's that term in anime where they rewind an episode and that's all it is? Recap episode? Something like that.
Which I can remember. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, our story had begun several weeks prior, maybe over a month now, as our party had gathered in the city of Tierhelm in the western portion of the Landskelt Alliance, on the western edge of the Alemalt Forest, and on the segmented split of the Prima River and the Secundus River. A important trading post, if you will, or trading route, prized for its geographical position on the continent of Irindal, south of the Montskega Mountain, as well as north of the capital of the Rosewell Empire of Magnolia, north of the bustling trade city and port town of Mirstadt, and a hub for a variety of different groups and peoples from all over the continent of Irindal. We had first been introduced to one of our party, a water Genasi monk by the name of Dazes, who had traveled to the city in search of a past compatriot, friend, and former lover, as we have come to find now, having been sent a strange communication from an old sailing friend. At the same time, a large, strange, and a bit daunting individual had found their way out of the deepest parts of the Alenwalt Forest. A Goliath by the name of Floof, who hailed from deep within the woods of the Alenwalt, who had garnered a powerful connection with nature, having spent the majority of their life in the care of a large brown bear, of all things, taking up this abandoned child as its own. Who found himself in Tierhelm, searching for what he assumed was a potential killer of this adoptive mother, not but a week prior. And at this same time, the final member of our party, a strange, slime-like amoeboid creature that took on the adoptive form of a ratling, but very much not quite the same, but taking on this adoptive form nonetheless, a magically attuned individual requested to come here on behalf of their friend and mentor. We met with Trash. All of you had arrived in the city of Tierhelm during one of the seasonal festivals here to pay homage to a successful harvest, a successful year to finish, as well as a successful year to come. Upon arriving, you were quickly greeted with some of the less savory individuals within the city of Tierhelm, who tried to coerce you to give up what little valuables you probably came along with. Nevertheless, they were unsuccessful. And during this time, Dazes, you met up with your point of contact, a orcish man named Domus, who had given up the life of a privateer and smuggler to take on a more passive occupation and a far less dangerous one, as they now had a small young daughter to take care of. He had now become a respectable smith here in Tierhelm. During this exchange with these hooligans and scoundrels, this young daughter and one of their acquaintances that had accompanied these individuals, a well-to-do young noble girl, probably not much younger or older than the daughter of Domus, seemingly disappeared from your gaze, and you began to worry as a number of individuals had supposedly begun disappearing in this city. After a bit of searching, you found yourselves back, or heading towards the outskirts of the city into the western hills, finding a strange cave where, after a bit of trudging through deep water and into a darkened area, you found the remains of long-devoured individuals, but thankfully the two young girls that had disappeared, but only to find that they had been coerced and tricked by a strange mimic-like creature that took on the form of the rocky crags within the cave itself. You were able to dispatch this creature, though, and save these two young girls. The following day, you were then requested to meet with a well-to-do noble individual that headed one of the major mercantile guilds within the city, who not only thanked you for saving his young daughter, the young noble girl, but requested a bit of delivery work from you all in exchange for a handsome reward. Delivery to a strange individual that you were requested to speak with one of their contacts. After much searching within the city, a bit of drinking, a bit of excessive revelry, and also almost gaining the ire of the city guard, you were set to deliver this item to another city, the city of Mirstadt. After traveling for several days, meeting up with some strange individuals and encountering some strange creatures along the way, you arrived in Mirstadt, where you began searching for this individual. After some strange series of events, you met this individual's younger sibling, who then led you deep below the catacombs and aqueducts of the city of Mirstadt, where you found yourselves deep in the bowels of the city, where there was this makeshift collective of fugitives and individuals of magical birth that either could not control said magic or were fleeing from persecution from individuals known as the Inquisition, from the capital of Magnolia, among whom you met several children, some older individuals, as well as the leader of this group, whom you were destined to deliver this package to, a strange rod-like staff with a glass-encased jewel of lunarium at its tip. A beautiful object. After which he discussed some work with you all, specifically escorting with the accompaniment of one of his personal bodyguards, privateers, private muscle, if you will, a powerful barbarian woman who accompanied you and the children through the sewer systems towards the eastern edge of the city. After encountering along this escape route a strange cult of fish people, you found your way out of the city, out of the fire, and straight into the crucible. As you found yourselves under the watchful and accusative ire of several inquisitors of the church. You attempted to fight at first, but realizing quite quickly that you were outmatched as this individual sprang into action from a distance afar, shattering the twilight lanterns that suppressed several of your magic capabilities before ordering you all to run as quickly as possible, unsure of what would become of your barbarian companion and this strange spellcaster as you fled with the two children towards a destination of another smuggling type vessel several miles down the coast of away from the city of Mirstadt. After an exhaustive night, you arrived early in the morning to find this vessel. And after a bit of discussion and a bit of help, you were able to parlay transportation to now the city of Callista, the capital of the Jamila dynasty. In addition, along your way, you encountered some strange creatures. Unsure of what was going on, you specifically, Dazes, were engaged in an even more direct manner by this shadowy entity. You swear that you saw someone of familiar stature and cadence hovering high above before vanishing once more into the cloud cover above. After several days' travel, you arrived in Callista, the beautiful capital city of the Jamila dynasty. Upon arriving, you found yourselves in search of the captain of the guard, Gamil Gesh, by the request of some of these individuals. After speaking with his former second in command and learning a bit about what had transpired in the previous weeks in and around the Jamila dynasty, you found out that the former heir to the throne had been killed in some sort of strange mining accident, and that the former captain of the Silver Talons, Gamil, had been exiled from the Jamila dynasty. You were requested to find this individual from his second in command, before which you met with a number of individuals, some strange soldiers that had abandoned their post not but a few days prior. And after an intense scuffle, you quickly realized that something was amiss, as the brain matter from within their skulls sprang out like empty puppet-like vessels with quadrupedal forms as they continued to attack you before you were able to lay them down low. Strange, aberrant creatures seem to be springing up all around you along your travels, as you now discussed with the former teacher of Gamil, trying to find whereabouts he may have gone. And after... I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Before that, you had headed northwards towards Tafar, with tickets given to you by the former associate of Gamil. You were told to arrive at a hotel or an inn of sorts. What you did not realize is that this inn was mobile, a arcane locomotive known as the Railway. And after several stressful nights, people being abducted by strange creatures in the desert, as well as a strange murder attempted to be covered up of a less than savory man of nobility, you finally arrived in Tafar, where you were searching for this this defunct former leader of the Silver Talons, led instead towards his former teacher and mentor within one of the various dojos within the city, a training house for many a soldier throughout the years. After meeting with this seasoned fighter and warrior, and accompanying them towards a important ceremonial event that took place on a yearly basis within the city of Tafar, you were then told to head towards the eastern mesas and speak with the Hermon tribes of Aarakocra. Before doing that, though, you found yourselves in the sights of even less savory individuals, members of a group known as the Hand of Faith, assassin-like individuals that resented your intervening aboard the railway as their target was taken away before they could collect upon the bounty that they were ordered to do. And you met with a strange automaton individual known as Billet, who accompanied you into the mesas for his own purposes of discovering about things about himself, as far as you know. After several days of trekking eastward towards the mesas, you arrived in an area and barely escaped several creatures known as Vrox, as well as being pursued by a massive purple worm deep into the deserts, where you were surrounded quickly by the umbral hunters of the Hermon tribes, masterful nighttime hunters of Aarakocra. Upon arriving in the Verdant Embrace, one of the several large tribal lands of the Aarakocra tribes, you met with several strange individuals, and the leaders of this village, in addition to the leader of the hunters that you met the night before. But you met with Master Olman Garm, the leader of the tribe, Olman Tellis, the strange sort of soothsayer and Hikima of the tribe, a druidic Aarakocra that shared with you several latent memories, Floof, of your past. One in your infant weeks of life that surely you would never have recounted were it not for a strange device known as the Cistern of Reminiscence. After some time with the tribe, you were accompanied, several of you were accompanied out to the Sea of Tusk, where you assisted in capturing prey, several large sharks and fish for the tribe itself, all before several of these hunters later would go missing, one of which returning heavily wounded on death's door. And you come to find out that yet another one of these aberrant creatures that the Hermon tribes just called out as the Vosh in their language, had been involved in this situation. After heading out to the sea to try to find these missing tribesmen, you were assaulted by more of these strange creatures, seemingly owing their fealty to a creature known as Her Majesty. After an intense battle, you recovered what little you could and then began to follow after the remains of this attacking party, finding yourselves in an underwater cavern where your minds were assaulted by some strange creature for several hours. You did find several survivors within the caverns, but not long thereafter, you found yourselves confronted by a massive, dangerous, aberrant creature that not only assaulted your minds, but assaulted you physically with curses and poisons of all kinds. And were it not for a strange intervening by a shadowy cloaked figure, you would have certainly perhaps succumbed to this aberrant creature's machinations. Dazes, you realize that this individual was none other than your missing lover of years past, whom you had assumed had died at sea when your past vessel had sunk into the Serpent Sea on the opposite end of the continent. After a brief but heated discussion, they vanished in a blast of eldritch energy after decapitating what remained of this dangerous Vosh and securing this large lump of lunarium from its body. But in the process, breaking open a once sealed tunnel to this, what you now realized was some sort of smuggler's den in a previous lifetime. After returning to the surface, accompanied by the leader of the Umbral Hunters, you then returned back to the Verdant Embrace, where you were told you were not allowed to leave lest the information of this location be disclosed to individuals outside the tribe. A bit concerning as you spent the next several days here trying to decide what you might do. But fate would have it that things would move on in their own way. As another familiar individual of the past weeks arrived randomly in the village, the Master Arcanist of the Magisterium Arcanum, the main cabal of mages on the continent, Master Darius Oberson, arrived randomly in the village, specifically looking for you, Trash, discussing that they had been asked to find you by your mentor, Lady Catherine. After much discussion with the village elder, and also assisting Gamil in utilizing the Cistern of Reminiscence, you come to find out that something is amiss in the Jamila dynasty. The accident within the mines was no mere accident. The former prince had been murdered within those very caverns that you now find yourselves in. Among these conspirators, a strange, fiery-eyed creature in the darkness. A beautiful, orcish woman that you, Dazes, recognize as Ada Grot, your former lover, and a tentacle-faced individual discussed a matter at hand with great interest before the memory was wiped clean by a blast of psychic energy. The following morning, Master Oberson seemed to be in a desperate and frantic discussion with somebody via magical means, learning that there had been an attack on the capital city of Callista the following night, or the previous night. And during that attack, several individuals had been involved that he did not expect. After a heated discussion and a bit of persuasion, Master Oberson left to find out what was going on within the capital. And later that evening, Trash, you were suddenly bombarded with a mental message from Master Oberson that soldiers and mages loyal to the Jamila dynasty were on their way to your location. And mere moments after that, several gates opened up as soldiers of the Silver Talons and accompanied by mages loyal to the Jamila dynasty began to surround the Verdant Embrace, demanding the arrest of the leaders of the tribe for a supposed attack upon the capital. An attack they showed you from up on high within the valley itself. And among these attackers, Trash, you saw your mentor and friend, Catherine, leading the charge. Unsure of what to do, you tried to defuse the situation as best you could. But at the height of the tense moment, an arrow flew through the silence and pierced one of the soldiers, killing them instantly and sparking a massive battle within the base of the Verdant Embrace. The Silver Talon Knights and Mages of the Jamila dynasty went at it with the Umbral Hunters as well as yourselves as you attempted to protect those could not fight while also trying to protect yourself. After a lengthy, drawn-out ordeal, you were able to overcome this large battalion of soldiers and mages, closing the gates behind you as the leader of the tribe stated that they would be heading deeper into the mesas to have discussions with the other tribal leaders. More than likely that if their location had been found, that the other tribal lands had also been found. That they would need to quickly discuss what would be happening in the near future. Prior to this commotion, your companion Billet had also disappeared suddenly. Unsure of what to do, you are still trying to figure out what had happened to them as you left the remains of the Verdant Embrace, now heavily damaged, accompanied by Gamil back towards Tafar to make a pit stop for supplies, upgraded weapons, and things of that nature, as he urged you to help him find out who was really pulling the strings of this situation. Feeling confident that the secret lied within that same mine that had taken the life of his relative and the former prince of the dynasty. Briefly back into Far, you met with individuals known as the Handymen, a group of thieves, smugglers, less than savory traders, and all sorts of vagabonds alike. And after a bit of a tense situation, several flashes of coins seemed to diffuse that same tensity as you shared some drinks and then later parlayed and traded a bit, acquiring some new items, potions, things of that nature, before the following morning sneaking out early towards the western deserts, accompanying several of the mining caravans out into the deserts. You now found yourselves attacked by strange land shark-like creatures known as boulettes, before taking what time you could to recover and then entering the and fleeing, I should say, another massive purple worm before managing to find your way underground into this very same mine that you all saw in Gamil's flashbacks within the cistern. And that brings us to the present day. This far distant Lunarium mine in the deep desert, probably 20 or 30 miles outside, deep into the dunes west of the city of Tafar on the northern edge of the Jamila dynasty. It is quiet within this mine as you descend downwards, and you can feel that the temperature is dropping rapidly as you are now outside of the glare of the beating desert sun. I imagine that there are at least a few miners within the main caverns of this location still. We should try to find anyone that we can, as if the individual that we are searching for, the one that Heinrich had mentioned, he likely would be among others as to not stand out too much. As your companion Gamil leads you deeper into the mines, what are you all doing?
I'm mostly just keeping an eye out for any people or threats or monsters, smelling, kind of just making sure we're not going to get surprised or anything.
You don't see any movement. You don't feel anything threatening, at least at the moment. But you do smell, Floof, as you kind of look around and take the scent of the mines as you go deeper. The air here is extremely dry. And there's a veil of a salty sort of smell all along the walls of this mine shaft as you go deeper and deeper. You also notice that these tunnels, these shafts that you're moving down, they're extremely smooth walled. Nothing that, unless the carving was extremely intentional, would they be this smooth. And you doubt that miners would take such time to create such a smooth passageway if their only intention was to acquire buried minerals and hidden gems and things of that nature, specifically deposits of Lunarium. You do see that there are chunks missing out of the walls, but the vast majority of these tunnels, although supported by wooden beams and things of that nature as you go deeper, you see that the walls themselves are relatively smooth.
Okay. Yeah, I'll kind of sniff into the air and say, I'll share that smells salty. This place, not natural. Walls too smooth, artificial is what I'll say.
Okay.
Dazes and Trash, what are you doing as you descend, following with Gamil?
I guess I don't know if I'm doing anything particular. Just observing, maybe trying to get a lay of the land as we descend further.
Like maybe like just keep a vigilant eye. Try to check for traps if that's an issue, or make
Okay.
note of any like markings if I happen to catch anything. Just try to be vigilant.
You can give me a survival or a perception check, your choice. Or one of you can give the other help and do so with advantage, your choice.
I'll help.
How's
that roll.
Okay. All right, because I think if I'm not mistaken, my perception is just a flat. But let's see, survival. Yeah, it's just flat. All right, but
Okay.
I'll roll and take the better of the two. Unless your perception is probably better than mine, I think.
I'm either yeah. I do have a +7, but
Yeah.
Yes,
how
Bert.
about you roll and I help you?
okay.
Okay, you can roll with advantage, Dazes.
All right. Right click the wrong thing. Perception. That's okay.
Okay. With a 15, you don't spot anything in these tunnels that seems to be out of place, as much as you can tell. You do pick up on the fact that these walls are quite smooth as you run your hand across them. The only thing you really see that breaks up the smooth sort of, there's almost like a natural waviness to these walls, but they're extremely smoothed out. The only thing that really breaks up that sort of almost rib-like movement of the walls themselves is you can see that pockets of various deposits have been chiseled out or ripped out in places, or obviously the supports of the tunnels themselves have been drilled in or nailed into the walls to brace the ceilings from cave-ins.
Okay.
You also too pick up on the fact that the air is very dry and slightly salty.
Okay.
Could I don't know, nature or something, but like, is the saltiness something unusual here? Like, is it from salt water from the ocean to the east, or
Give me a nature check.
all right. Very nice roll.
With a 22, you think on this scent and the saltiness, and you come to the conclusion that this is likely rock salt, buried deep within the ground.
Okay.
And as
yeah,
you lean in and lick one of the walls, you can definitely tell there is remains of salinity to these walls.
I'll smack my lips and say, rock salt. Walls are rock salt.
You also, with a 22, you would know that this tunnel has sort of a cylindrical nature to it, and that the pattern and movement of the waves in the wall now begin to kind of spark a bit of recognition as you look upon these walls and you think back on what might have created this. It doesn't look like anything was forcibly moved through this space, but more like this rock slowly surrounded something and formed around it into this smooth texture. And as you kind of roll your fingertips around this sort of cylindrical pathway, at least the pathways that you can tell, you see sort of branches spreading off that definitely look like they were carved out. But the main path as you walk through shares an eerie similarity to the shape and size of one of the purple worms. It doesn't look like the creature had burrowed through here, but more like they were stuck here at some point, and the ground formed around the body.
Creepy.
Just mild body horror stuff, no big deal.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know the details of the situation, but I was told many years ago by our teachers that the purple worms, that they aren't certain where these deposits of minerals come from, but there seems to be a correlation between the death of these creatures and large deposits of various minerals around corpses of the worms. They generally do not burrow this deep into the harder rock, as they prefer to wait for prey to move through less dense material, as you've seen in the looser sands. But from what we've garnered over the years researching, that there seems to be a correlation where these creatures ultimately pass away, and where a lot of these large mineral deposits are found. I don't know the exact term, but the earth seems to form around their bodies after they expire. As you all walk further down through these tunnels, as you first entered, it's now been about 20, 30, 40 minutes of very little activity. But as you head further down this main passageway, this large rounded space, and several branches, broken areas, as Gamil kind of leads you towards where his memories are bringing him to where this attack occurred. You begin to hear the clanking of metal on rock in the distance. And as you get closer, you realize that it's more than it's definitely the sound of tools. Dazes, you would recognize the sound of tools being beaten against metal, or metal against rock, or metal on wood, the sound of carpentry aboard a ship. It's not an unfamiliar sound. It's just a bit more sharp as you hear the sound of what definitely sounds like tools hitting rock. And as you approach, it's getting louder. What are you all doing?
particular?
Definitely moving more cautiously as we get closer, just get a visual on what we're hearing. In case it's a threat of any kind, I'd prefer to have the jump rather than being discovered approaching.
Okay.
Is there any like significant change in the I was gonna say like scenery, but I mean we're in a big tunnel, but like significant change in like how the walls of the tunnel look as we get closer to the sounds of interactivity? Or is it most of them the same?
Go ahead and give me a perception check. You definitely notice that the tunnel is getting wider, and as you look up and look to the sides, you can see it's getting wider because it's definitely been dug out. That there's a mixture of older and some fresher tool marks as you're getting deeper into this main thoroughfare, heading deeper and further down into the depths of the earth. And you notice that there's a heavier mixture of like hard rock as opposed to just like dirt. Like you can see what was before about a 50-50 mixture of dirt and heavy stone and like granite and marble and mixtures of various small mineral deposits and veins occasionally. Now you're seeing more granite and more like heavy, dense rock that has definitely been chipped out and physically mined wider as you head further out. Where once that this tunnel was about 20 to 25 foot wide is now the better part of 40 to 45 foot wide. And you can see where there were mineral veins throughout some of these rocks have been chiseled out until really all that's left now is just like large lumps of granite that make up the walls of these caverns.
Assuming Camille is more familiar with these mines and been in them before, I'll ask what that noise, Camille.
My guess is that it is a mining party of some kind. I don't know from where they hail or whether or not they will be welcoming to visitors, as most of these mining organizations operate on a sort of stake your claim mentality, or they have a formal claim with the city of Tafar or the dynasty itself. It tends to vary depending on the distance from major cities, as the closer to safety one is, then likely that claim has been formally staked with the city. But further out into the deserts, if one is brave enough, then oftentimes it is simply a first come, first to claim mentality. My understanding of the situation is thus.
Okay.
Trash, what are you doing during this situation?
I mean, this is still... I feel like I could try to rack my brain to see if I have come across or read any information, but I feel like because this is still in the region, with the Aarakocras, like I wouldn't know much, right?
of this region and the dunes, or what are you asking specifically?
Like, would I have any knowledge that would help with like general like creatures, or like is there a reason why the caves are made out of salt? Like, should that be something like alarming, or it's just like general?
Give me go ahead
geographically.
and give me a nature check. Nature or survival, your choice.
Okay. My nature is better, so I'm gonna do nature. Wasn't great. That was 7 plus 4, so just 11.
11. You're not quite certain. You feel like the information that you were given by either Gamil or Floof seems appropriate for the situation.
Mhm.
But you don't have any additional knowledge that would assist in the situation.
Right. Okay.
But you don't have anything to refute it based on what you've
Mhm.
learned from your companions. Might I recommend that we approach with caution, but assume that this is likely some sort of mining party, but I don't think a small amount of caution would be unwarranted.
Fair enough.
Yeah, okay with that.
Okay.
Yep, I'll take that warning and move extra cautiously as well.
If I can go ahead and get a group stealth check.
Uh-huh. Uh, 17 for me.
17. Okay. All right. Well, between all the average of the group, you did succeed. So as you head down cautiously through the mines, observing carefully as you proceed down, now the clanking of steel on stone gets louder. You begin to hear the sound of chipping rock from multiple sources as this tunnel begins to expand out like a funnel. Before you reach now, you begin to see dim lights surrounding a much larger mouth and cave space with multiple branching passages off and on of small to large breakout tunnels and veins of material. But within this main atrium, you can see that it sort of dips down rapidly, almost like there's an intentional sort of switchback ledge that you can definitely see there has been activity at recently. And you can look directly across. You can see a number of individuals have pickaxes and chisels and various masonry tools. Directly across, about 50 foot across, this main space is in total about 75 foot wide, if you assume that it's not necessarily a perfect circle, but a near perfect circle. You can see that this sort of looks like a main sort of hub that branches off in spiderwebs out to deeper parts of this mining operation. Directly across from you, you see two human individuals. You see a dirty blonde-haired young man, probably in their late teens. Freckles, fairly decent build, medium-sized build for their age, swinging a pickaxe. Beside them, you see a dwarven man with a salt and pepper beard, much older. Most of the hair on the top of their head is all but gone. Kind of the remainder of their hair that kind of loops around in a skullet is tied back at the back in this kind of intricate braid that spreads down their back, almost to the center of their spine. as they chisel out much more carefully around this vein of glowing blue crystal that even at this distance you can see is a pocket of lunarium. Deep in the lower portion of this centralized area, about maybe 20, 25 feet from the ending ramp-like space of this switchback, carved-in staircase now, as you look down, you can see there's a number of individuals. There are cots, several makeshift tents, and very crude pitched temporary abodes and bedrolls all kind of spread about this area, as well as several tables and really rickety looking chairs. Some are just lumps of wood that they're using as, you know, a makeshift stool in places. You see a number of individuals down here, most of them human, but you do see a half-orcish man with sort of greenish graying skin, much older, but definitely of orcish descent, as you see the stronger build and two small yellowy tusks sticking up from either side. Beside him, you see a much shorter, squat individual, no hair on the top of their head, but lots of these intricate grayish-white tattoos all over their scalp. And at this distance, it's a bit difficult to tell, but Dazes, with your perception, you can definitely tell that this individual, although dwarven in descent, is not of the typical mountain dwarves that you've seen more often. They have grayish blue skin, which more accentuates this grayish white, like brighter white tattoo that's all over their scalp. And they have a more feminine jawline, so you can see that this is more than likely a female dwergar. You've not seen but a handful in your lifetime, as they tend to stay less conspicuous than their more mountain-dwelling cousins. But she has lots of leathers and tools strapped all across her chest and her back, and she's mulling over with the orcish man on this table, this large spread parchment, and you can see at this distance, for those of you with dark vision, can see in this dim light from several oil lanterns spread about in a haphazard sort of way, as well as a mixture of wax candles and things of that nature. They seem to be discussing paths of various mining opportunities, as she pointing to this orcish individual, a proposed path for their continued mining operation. But you see a mixture. There's probably about a dozen individuals in total that you can catch at a glance around this main atrium area. Other than the sound of work and then these two individuals deeper in this sort of, what's the term I'm looking for? Not mine. Quarry. This sort of quarry space further down, as they've kind of, you can definitely tell this lower portion has been intentionally mined out. Quite possibly had a much larger deposit of minerals in the past and crystallized lunarium, and it has been heavily dug out. It doesn't have the smooth sort of surface that you've seen of the main tunnels, reminiscent of some sort of former death site of a larger creature, but a definitely a man-made quarry in this location. But as you approach cautiously, you don't appear to notice that you've been seen. As you kind of edge your way up to the mouth of the end of this main passage into this main atrium area. But as you do so, what are you all doing?
Is there,
how many paths are there from the circular kind of hub?
Just at a glance without dark vision, you can spot the ones that are kind of close. You see there's a number of lanterns around some of them. Just at a glance without dark vision, you can see there's about 7 or 8 various paths branching off of this large atrium space. Dazes and Trash, you notice that there are probably another 10 more in addition to that, further back in darker, dimmer, very poorly lit segments of this sort of cavern area.
Okay. Is there a clear path that, like when they successfully mine the Lunarium, are they taking it down a certain path or anything, or is it just kind of piled up somewhere?
As you look around, you notice that there are several carts. Some with wooden wheels and metal basins, others just ramshackle, like former farm equipment or farm trolleys that they've haphazardly turned into mine carts. But among all of them, you do see large lumps of crystallized Lunarium.
Okay.
Some of the, I would say the larger chunks are probably anywhere from between baseball and golf ball sized, the larger chunks. But most of it is like small, like little crystallized shards or even a powder that seems to collect at the bottom of these larger pieces. But nothing larger than a baseball.
Well, I'll look to Gamil and ask which way to place. Do you remember?
Yes, it was to the opposite side of the caverns here. I believe after entering this main space, there weren't that many individuals here at the time, as they were likely mining out a larger portion. It seems to me that the individuals here are doubling back to perhaps expose something that they might have missed in the past, but we were heading to a segment that we had heard had claimed the lives of 2 individuals prior in a cave-in, and we wanted to inspect what had happened, as we had heard perhaps there was some mismanagement that led to the death of innocent individuals. It was just off to center, and he kind of points just like almost straight across from where you are now, but a little to the right and you can't really see it, Floof, without dark vision, as it's quite dim in that location. But Dazes and Trash, you can see there's definitely not a huge opening, but like a medium size, maybe 7 to 8 foot wide path heading in that direction to where he is pointing. Do not forget, friends, we are looking for this individual.
And watches Gamil pulls out this piece of parchment that describes a humanoid or a human in their mid to late 20s, brown hair, gives an approximate height of about 5'10", 5'9", somewhere in that range. That had been gone missing recently. That had gone missing in this particular area. Not necessarily this mine specifically, but had gone missing in the deep segments of the Feedy Dunes in this area.
But I am certain... Yes, my friend.
This is more of a area question. Are the dozen people or so people in between us and the path that Gamil pointed out?
You would probably have to pass by at least
Okay.
5 or 6 of them to get to this location.
Okay.
You don't sense really, like, as far as you can tell right now, they just look like they're, at a glance, you see that they're just going about their work, but you don't know
They don't
how
seem
they
to
would.
be, like, looking for
No,
anyone
no,
watching
you.
them.
Yeah, you don't really get the sense that they're looking for anyone, but you get the sense that it would be quite difficult to sneak past these individuals. Yeah, but you don't get the sense that they're necessarily objective to individuals being here. They just wouldn't have expected it. But you don't get any sort of like hostility, like they're specifically looking for some intruder or anything. They just seem to be miners working.
Okay.
There's definitely no guards or anything posted, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay. I'll still foolishly ask. We sneak by?
Perhaps, but if we were to be caught, it would bring up a more less than savory discussion as to why we were attempting to sneak through a otherwise occupied mining passage.
I nod. That makes sense.
I suppose it may be more prudent to pretend that we belong.
Perhaps. Or we could try to persuade them into helping us find this individual that we are searching for. This missing humanoid. What was their name? Yes, it seems to be Carl.
And he hands it over to the three of you. And you see the description of this human man who's gone missing recently.
And it's just written. It's not like a sketch or anything, right?
No, there's no sketch. You see a name of Carl Zent.
Okay.
One defining feature you do see in the description is it states that they have a scar over one of their eyes. It wasn't specific which eye. It just says that they have a scar over their eye.
Okay.
Are there any nearby mining tools on the ground that we could carry over to pretend like we're working?
You don't see any nearby unless you want to give me a perception check.
I don't think Floof would necessarily be Agent 47ing this, so I'm gonna just say that I don't even think about that option and delete that from the record.
Right.
Alright, well, if we're gonna ask these workers for help in finding this individual, there's a number of people in this general area we can talk with to start.
I believe that would be the wisest choice, in my opinion. As opposed to trying to sneak by and potentially garnering the ire of these rather overworked individuals.
Well, let's go.
Very well. You all forego your stealthiness as you head into the open atrium cavern of this space. And as you descend down, there's nobody like directly around the mouth of this space. But as you begin to head down, there's kind of like an outer lip that's about 8 to 10 feet wide towards the walls before it begins to like steeply slope down, either via this sort of switchback makeshift carved out staircase or just straight, almost falling down at like a 45-degree angle towards the center of this quarry. And as you're heading down towards this switchback, heading towards some of these individuals, you begin to see that the orcish man that was previously listening to the Dwergar dwarf kind of senses something, looks up, and spots you all at the heading down this switchback. Oi, Katniss, we got company. And you see the female Dwergar look up. Oi! What are we having here? What are you doing in my steak? You best explain yourselves. And as you hear her call out, you notice that like the individuals all around this space have all kind of stopped what they were doing and kind of turned to look at, now noticing the four of you. What do you do?
Where we were going, were we like going past them or towards them just now?
You would either have to go all the way around to get to where you noticed that Gamil was pointing, but the easiest method, you would pass by at least half a dozen people regardless of what direction.
Okay, yeah.
I'm primarily fixated on looking at everybody's eyes to see if there's a scar.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check with disadvantage, as you're kind of looking into some dim spaces.
Okay.
Can I say I was doing the same thing? Like, not necessarily maybe
Sure.
help, but I'll be doing the same thing, trying to pull the hood up and look at as small, inconspicuous as possible kind of thing.
Sure. Go ahead and you can both roll perception. Floof, you would be at disadvantage in this space. Or one of you can roll at advantage with the help from the other. Wow, that
It's
was with
just
disadvantage?
Yes.
Oh my god, okay.
Perception is
Damn.
+7.
Oh my god,
so
okay. Well, that's not too bad. If you just want to go ahead and he's already rolled, so if you want to roll as well.
Okay. I don't get any additions to perception, but I did roll a 19.
That's not bad at all. 16 and 19 are very good, actually. Floof, you feel fairly confident between the scent of this space. Because it's quite dry, all the perspiration in this area is quite strong. Like, you get the scent of individuals before you get their, like, anything, and you don't really notice. As you catch the scent, you look at these individuals, and the ones that you can see, you don't really notice anybody with a scar. Trash,
Okay.
you look around, you also don't notice anybody with a scar over their eye. You do notice that there seems to be, you count about about a dozen individuals here, but you notice there's signs that there's possibly more individuals down some of these other passageways. Like, you can definitely begin to hear like there's movement through some of these other spaces, as that now that everyone's stopped to look at you and stopped like hitting their tools against the wall, that like clanking that was otherwise echoing through here has all but stopped. So anybody who hadn't stopped kind of stands out a bit more, and the only ones that hadn't stopped are the ones that are not in this atrium. So you get a sense that there's definitely movement of other individuals down some of these other passageways. So it's probably more than just these folks here.
Right.
I'll be having it now. Tell me why you're here. Otherwise, we'll be throwing you out.
We are searching for an individual who seems to have gone missing in this general area.
Well, if they go missing, they ain't getting paid by me. Isn't that right, boys? And you kind of hear this, hearty cheer. My boys don't work, they don't get paid, because I don't get paid. So none of my boys have been going missing.
Well, we were wondering if we might ask if any of you may have seen somebody by this general description at all in this area?
5. The love of the 12. Come on down. I don't like you walking around. If you fall, it's your own damn fault. Don't be blaming me and trying to get money from me later on by extortion, you hear me? As she calls to you all to come on down to the table where you see a number of these documents and mining tunnel diagrams all over these tables.
All right. No suing, we promise.
I should better be hoping so. These don't look like any type of weapons of war, but I can tell you they hurt quite bad when you hit somebody in the head with them. So you better mind your P's and Q's. Now tell me, who is it you're looking for, and why do you think they're here?
I guess you can give them the general description. Why do we think they're here, though? I mean...
You get the understanding based on the description you were given from Heinrich, and you didn't see that many dig sites or anything like that, or any type of mine entrances. Some of the more like heavily populated ones that are closer to the city, you saw the majority of individuals heading towards that direction as you kind of followed the caravans, and fewer and fewer as you got further into the dunes were going, like the only remainder that would be heading out this way. By the time you got out this far to where Gamil was leading you to this location, nobody else was with you. So, based on the description, you get a strong feeling from this description, looking at this Dazes, that there probably aren't a whole lot of other options out here.
Mm-hmm.
Having read this, and as you show this to Katniss, this Dwergar woman, you have a strong suspicion that this individual was last seen here. And given the encounter you had with the worms, that an individual wouldn't be dumb enough to try to leave or come and go by themselves.
Yeah, and by that token, they stands to reason that they're most likely in this area somewhere.
Boy, for the love of it. I haven't been seen in this cow, as he's called. But we do have some newbies coming and going every now and again when we have to get supplies. They come back with somebody who's looking for a bit of quick cash. But I'm not 100% familiar with everybody. But my regulars that stick with me, my main crew, I know all of them and none of them go by Carl. You boys seen anybody named Carl? And you see a number of the human individuals as well as the dwarf on the side kind of shake their heads. And you kind of hear one of the individuals, a redheaded young man who's like probably mid-teens, probably one of the youngest individuals here. Oi! There was some newcomers about 2 days ago. They went down the back passages. They were saying they saw something glowing, perhaps a vein. Oi. All right. Tell you what. I don't have a lot of time. We've got to meet a quota. So if you're going to be here, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to work, or or you're going to pay up front. Your choice. Because this is my here stake. And nobody comes here for free. Do you catch my drift? So you're gonna make it worth my while, or are you gonna do some hard labor?
I ain't doing no work.
Yeah, but we can't really afford to pay since we popped off a little bit a while back.
I'm actually thinking this might be an okay opportunity to
Because then we can walk
like,
around.
get like a closer look.
Yeah.
At Lunarium in particular as well, especially if we're going down that vein with the glowy blue that was described. And also, yeah, we ain't all that rich.
Well, what's it gonna be?
I've never minded some hard labor in my day.
Right then. Alphonse? Show him to the new tunnels. Get him some equipment. Get him started. You see the orcish man look over. Oi. Grab him the pickaxes behind you. And he's pointing to, you see a barrel behind you, and there's a number of pickaxes. Some larger, some smaller, for various sizes, as well as some hammers and chisels. Come this way. As he motions for you all to follow him.
Can I roll to see which of these tools are especially good, if any?
Yeah, give me an investigation check. The 14? None of them look bad, but none of them are in great shape. They're all pretty marred up, but if you hit anything hard enough, it'll do some damage.
That's fair.
You can definitely tell that they're, there's pickaxes and they have some weight to them. For Dazes, you and Floof, perhaps not as big an issue, but Trash, you go to pick up one of these pickaxes and it almost like topples you over with it. Right. You better be the one carrying the hammer and the chisel then. You look like you can handle the finer tools. And he hands you a number of hammers and sharpened pikes and chisels. He watches Gamil picks up the pickaxe that you had almost fallen over with, Trash.
I grab the first pickaxe. I don't care which one it is. I think it's silly that these people are making us work when we got important stuff to do.
Right this way. And he leads you up, and there's another one of these switchbacks now here at the back of this main quarry lower. As you're kind of in the bottom of this quarry, you can tell you've come down almost like 20 feet into the bottom of this quarry. And as you kind of head up towards this back wall, now you're beginning to see there's a dim glow to some of these walls, and you see veins of this bluish white crystal throughout all this granite. This area is just littered with lunarium. In addition to that, you notice that, specifically you, Floof, as you're kind of observing this area, everywhere that there's lunarium, like crystallized lunarium veins, there seems to be like deposits of rock salt around it too.
Okay.
Right. If you're smart, you start by chiseling away the salt. Put it in one pile. And be careful. You hit the bigger chunks of lunarium too hard, and they shatter. Not only do they give off a bit of a discharge, but they're not worth as much. Be careful. Work around the material. Just like I said, start with the salt. Then, once you got that clear, chisel the stone around it. Work your way around slowly. You start off too strong, you're liable to get yourself blown to pieces.
Well, you wouldn't want that.
Right. And he leads you down. The tunnel that Gamil was pointing at is about 2 passages to the left of where he's at. He's kind of pulled you... If this whole area is a clock face, the passage that Gamil was pointing at is about 1 o'clock, and he's leading you down a passage at about 3 o'clock.
Okay.
This passage is a bit more spread out than some of the other ones. You can tell that it's a bit more... there's a bit more shoulder room here, but even then, it's only about 5 or 6 foot wide at its widest point. Floof, you can feel in some of these areas, if you turn full broad-shouldered, you're almost like elbow to elbow on the walls. It's only when you turn, perpendicular to the or parallel to the walls that you really are able to move. But when you're perpendicular to the walls, you're pretty much like elbow to elbow against the rock. Right. See them there barrels beside you? You gotta meet that quota by the end of the day. I'll come check on you in a few hours. I'll hop to it. And you see he grabs his pickaxe that was sitting there beside that and heads back down towards the edge or the mouth of that separate tunnel, leaving you four at the edge of this space. What do you do?
Is it the one barrel for all of us?
You only see one barrel, yes.
Cool. How big is the barrel?
It's about the size. I would say it's about at its widest point is about like the widest point of Floof's chest. And it's about the size of a medium-sized whiskey barrel.
Okay.
I would say about maybe 4 to 4.5 foot tall by maybe a little less than 2 foot wide. Like a pretty like stubby, like fatter barrel.
Yeah, it's sizable.
But as you look around, you can see that there is like it's not bright in here, but there's enough of a glow that even those without dark vision in this group can see quite clearly. Like with all these veins in this granite. And those of you with a sensitivity to magic, you can feel that there is a pulse to these walls. Especially as you get closer to them, there's like a thrumming in certain areas where some of these thicker veins of crystallized lunarium are.
Would that magic feel intimidating, or is it just there, or the nature of this magic, I guess?
Give me a Arcana check, Floof.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
All my rolls are good. Just getting into combat, I'm fucked.
Getting them out now.
Yep.
With a 19. Everyone... To you, Floof, specifically, this magical stone... You can definitely... It's like being around
the closest thing you can relate it to is when you were younger in the Aelenwalt Forest, you felt this same sort of charged energy right before a thunderstorm approached. Like, you could feel that energy in the air, like that scent of ozone and, like, charged, like, intensity in the air. It's the closest thing you can relate it to. It's not necessarily inherently bad. In fact, you don't really... There's no inherent, like, sense of danger in this area to you specifically, but you do sense that it's not an aversion to nature, per se. Like, this doesn't feel unnatural. As you sort of press your hand against these veins of crystallized salt and lunarium, but you sense that there is an intensity of natural energy here.
Okay. I don't think I'll vocalize any of those feelings, but I'll make mental note of the kind of power and natural entity of it. Okay.
But with that, what are you all doing?
Did the guy who brought us here leave?
Yeah, you are by yourselves in this separate shaft at this point.
Yes, we can start digging.
Yes, I was going to pose the question to you all. We could continue as we were requested to do, or perhaps we could break up a bit and while we take shifts.
Yeah, I was just thinking that maybe we have a working group, and then we have a scouting group to try to look for our
I believe that
a
would be a
mark?
wise use of our time.
Okay.
Given the situation in the capital and what occurred in the Embrace, the sooner we can find this individual or signs of these body-snatching creatures, the sooner we can focus on our main goal. If I were to make a recommendation, perhaps Trash and Dazes, you are more agile and stealthy than perhaps myself and your other companion here. While we make a commotion of work, perhaps now would be a good time to try to look about a bit more.
Sure.
At worst, if you are found out elsewhere, you could say you were simply looking for the latrine.
I'm okay with that.
I'm all right with that. Yeah.
Excellent. Sometimes better to apologize than to ask permission. Well, anyway, Floof, why don't we start making a commotion then? And you watch as he begins to chisel out as much as he can against some of the lumps of rock salt against one of the adjacent walls. He's definitely taking off large chunks of this rock salt, but you can see he's like over swinging, trying to make as much noise as possible to kind of mask the departure of your companions. What do you do?
I will follow suit. I'll grab an axe and swing quite hard at an area around a piece of Lunarium.
Okay. You can give me either a performance check, a strength check, or a dexterity check, your choice. Each will have various benefits and, consequences depending on the roll, so it's your choice.
Okay, let me think. Floof knows not to hit the Lunarium. I need to make noise. I can't hit it. I'll reluctantly choose performance.
Okay.
And that is what happens.
You go to swing and try to make as much noise as possible, and in doing so, right as Gamil has lumped off a large chunk of this rock salt, you strike right into one of the veins of Lunarium. Go ahead and roll me a d20.
Okay. Ooh, a natty.
As you strike it, you barely manage to lift your shoulder into it, and you collide with the wall instead of throwing your whole weight into it, as if you intended to stumble. But in doing so, you stumble and slam your forehead against the rock wall. You take 1 point of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
But you do not activate the discharge of the Lunarium.
All right. I will take that.
And you make quite a bit of noise doing it.
Well, that's good.
It definitely sounds like something hard hit something harder.
Perfect. I will try not to swing as hard, just to be more accurate with my swings.
Okay.
But
as this is going on, Trash and Dazes, what are you doing?
Before we leave the tunnel, I want to ask if we think it's worth it to take samples of either of these, either the Lunarium or the salt, or both. If it seems a worthwhile endeavor to attempt to do that or not.
Are you asking
I don't
Gamil
know.
or are you asking your companions?
I'm asking the group.
I have no use for Lunarium. I am not attuned to the magical arts. My abilities are simply inherent to my training. So I really have no use for it. But if you have use, I could not object, but just perhaps don't show the owner of these mines.
Of course not.
I'll agree with your idea, especially after just feeling it and maybe sparking, unintended, extra curiosity about it. And we have another little piece, right? So maybe at some point down the line, I'd like to see how they compare.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, just throwing that idea out.
Yeah. We can take a small
We will,
sample, I'm sure.
if you all would like me to try to secure a small piece for you all, I will try my best. But while I am doing this, please hurry along. We will do our best to sound like heavy-handed workers.
That's good.
Yep, I'm hood up, trying to be as stealthy and sneaky as possible
Okay.
while we're searching and just trying to look for other workers and see if we can get glimpses of their face sets.
Sure. Dazes and Trash, go ahead and give me stealth checks
All right.
as you attempt to sneak out of the separate passage.
19.
Okay. As you head to the exit of this separate passage back towards the main atrium and look about, you wait a few moments as the individuals working closest to you and those who would have any type of direct line of sight to you are the most distracted by their work. And as you look left and right, you feel confident no one has seen you exit this mouth as you head, I would assume, in the direction of where Gamil had pointed earlier, correct? Or are you heading someplace else?
So, my question is, the direction that someone spoke of earlier, where there was a group that went down 2 days ago, is that the same? Did that person know like which way that was, and is that the same direction as what Gamil was pointing towards?
You're not certain based on the conversation. You just know that there was another group that had arrived 2 days prior. If you'd like to give me a perception check to see if you can determine what direction that other of these groups, besides the ones that are here in this main quarry space, where there might be others working in these other passages.
Or I'll give it a shot.
Sure.
But I mean, if also we can default to that 1 o'clock direction.
With a 21, you can definitely tell. It takes you a moment as you look around trying to find or focus on specific sounds. And you focus on each group here around this atrium to start with, so you can kind of isolate the various swings of their pickaxes and chisels as you kind of begin to notice the pattern in the movement of their swings, and that way you're able to go, okay, that's this person, that's this person, that's this pair over here. And then you think about it as you listen in closely, trying to find the sound of movement of anywhere else that individuals might be. And in doing so, you are able to notice that not necessarily in that same location, but not too far away, just past that, at about almost due 12 o'clock in this sort of circular atrium, you can hear the sound of what sounds like heavy-fisted chisels, and rapid, like, slams of some sort of heavy sledgehammer or something as somebody's driving. You can hear that, like, unlike the individual, the dwarven individual that is, like, you can hear the various pings changing as he moves this chisel with one hand and hits it with a hammer. This is just like a it sounds like somebody's driving something into a wall. As you hear the clank of metal on metal, and you hear the sound of, like, stone cracking with each one of these strikes, and it's just, like, in this sort of concussive manner, in a very repeatable pattern, going through that 12 o'clock passage. And it's the only one that you can kind of see, like, break up sound-wise that is not from one of the groups here in this atrium.
What do you think, Travis? Any preference as to, I guess, like, which of these two directions?
I don't know. I want to flip a coin.
Sure. That's cool. heads we go towards the big stone sound. Tails we go in the 1 o'clock tunnel, Gamil
Okay.
direction.
Okay. Are you flipping your coin of the goddess? Your
Yeah.
opposing? Okay. Go
So
ahead.
I guess we'll say. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say. I guess the messed up side be the loud noise that I hear, and then the nicer side can be the 1 o'clock tunnel direction.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you want here? I'll ask you the question. Do you want to leave this up to randomness, or do you want me to answer the question?
You can randomness. Why not randomness?
Okay. A 1 will be the coin with the face of Timora, the goddess of good fortune.
Mm.
The opposite end, the darkened face of Bashaba, will be a number 2. So go ahead and roll me a D2.
Oh. Just type it out.
Which is good. That's the one I was going to pick anyway.
Hey.
Hey.
You head off in that direction, allowing fate to guide you. And Dazes, you feel as you flip this coin, you feel the threads of fate almost like move seamlessly as this coin flips up in the air just a few times over your hand, as if time begins to slow as it falls down into the palm of your hand. And you see the darkened face of the goddess of ill omens land in your palm. As you think, well, I guess we're going north.
Let's go north.
As you sneak out towards this path where the noise of the rhythmic slamming of metal on metal is emanating from, you head deeper down a tunnel. This tunnel is not even as wide as the one that you were working in but a moment ago, that your companions remain in. It gets quite narrow in certain areas, and were you not a rather slender individual and a rather small individual, this would get quite tight. If your companion Floof was here, he would have a bit of a struggle to squeeze through some of these narrow passages, but as you get through one of the most narrow portions, it begins to widen out again. And you can see that this narrow portion was likely a vein at some point that led into a much wider passage that begins to rapidly spread out as you head down. And you're hearing now, once you get beyond this choke point, you hear that slamming of metal on metal even louder now, accompanied by a lighter tapping noise of a smaller hammer. And as you kind of move through, it's quite dim here, almost dark, with the exception of the occasional glow of these veins of lunarium scattered about on the ceiling and the walls, and some on the floor of this cavernous space. It's now spread out to almost like 8 feet wide at its widest point. And it kind of spreads out again in forks in 2 different directions. One back towards the passage that Gamil had mentioned to you all, and another one heading and then terminating quite rapidly about 20 or 30 feet off, where you see there is a humanoid creature. They have almost like a stone-like skin, and a face that is craggly and gray with mixtures of these darkened red veins. And at first you would think, oh my goodness, this person had like horrible scars on their face. But then as you get a bit closer, you see these aren't scars. This isn't blood. It's almost like this person has a rocky face. And as you see, this individual is most likely an Earth Genasi. And he is the one that is just, he's got this massive, heavy-looking, blunt sledgehammer, and buried in one of the rocks, you can see he's got several pikes and chisels already driven into the stone, and he's systematically like breaking off chunks by hitting these chisels in certain orders as large lumps of granite come out, exposing deeper veins of rock salt and lunarium around it. But heading further down, you hear that softer chisel. After confirming the source of the heavier-handed movement, you hear that softer chisel heading off at a sort of 35-degree angle. And as you head down, this tunnel begins to kind of descend downward and slope downward and downward. And as you head down, it slowly, eventually begins to level off as you head down almost like 10 feet below where you had started in this passage. And as it levels off, you get sort of sense of deja vu. Like you've been here. You know you've never been here, but you feel like you've been here. Like you've seen this location before. But not through but not through your eyes. Through the eyes of another. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, can I tell if this is the tunnel in the vision that we saw? It's pretty confirmed.
Yes, you notice it's not necessarily the location where you saw the three individuals. That looks entirely different. But early on in that vision, this is definitely the same rocky location you saw when Gamil first lost consciousness before coming to in the latter half of the division. This is the last time that you saw through Gamil's eyes the face of the former prince of the Jamila dynasty. And as you head down, that chiseling slowly becomes louder. Go ahead and give me a stealth check, both of you.
I wish that number had been higher.
$17.
Okay. Trash, you follow at a kind of a crouched height beside your companion, just out of sight. Dazes, as you lean around this kind of over 90-degree bend, turning towards this separate fork in the tunnel, you see an individual chiseling away at a wall. They're about 10 or 15 feet down this separate passage, but even at this distance, you can see quite clearly. They have a rather gruesome-looking scar above their right eye that looks like something heavy had struck them above the eyebrow, and it extends almost about 3 inches up into their hairline, where you can see that portions of that part of their hair has not grown back. But as you go to lean in and confirm, you grasp upon a piece of that salty rock, and it breaks free and falls to the ground, making a loud thud as it as he immediately turns and looks at you all. And there's this moment of pause before, and you watch as he darts as fast as he can, having seen you two. What do you do?
Chase.
Chase.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to roll initiative for this. Just for the two of you. So go ahead and roll. Just we won't pull the initiative tracker up, but we'll just do this for the sake of that. Okay. Dazes, what's your dex bonus? It's plus four. Plus 4. Okay. Cool.
I rolled terrible. That was 6.
Okay. Dazes, he is at a full sprint, but with your intense training, you're able to immediately give chase as he is heading deeper into this cavern area. And you can definitely tell this is the brown-haired, scar-eyed individual that matches this description. But you can see he is just running as fast as he can down this area. But you are first to act. What do you do?
What the hell? Alright. I mean, run towards him? I don't know. Are we going by like actions?
Yeah,
Even though
so
it's not
he's
really like a battle.
He's about like 35 feet in front of you right now. He went into a full sprint, and he's like ducking through. You can see in front of you, he is just tossing everything he can behind him as he's like running deeper into this cavern.
Oh, that ain't gonna stop me, brother.
Okay. But yeah, you are first to act. He's about 35 feet in front of you. What do you do?
If he's throwing stuff down, like in the way and stuff, I'm full sprint parkouring.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an acrobatics check as he dumps a barrel of tools in front of you, and also kicks out one of the one of the material carts out of the way, and it starts rolling in front of you. If you don't either jump over this thing or barrel through it, you are going to fall prone. So I need either an acrobatics or a you know what? Give me either a dex save or a strength save. It's your choice.
I mean, I think that was a little
You
saving throw?
Yeah,
should-
go ahead and give me a saving throw instead.
Okay.
That seems more appropriate in this situation. Because it's kind of an obstacle that you either have to jump over or batter your way through.
Actually, how
Okay.
have you been rolling? You haven't been rolling that badly, right? You got a plus 7.
Like average. Yeah,
I can
plus
give
7.
you a. I can give you a flash of genius.
I'll take it.
All right.
If I had rolled better on that stealth, we would be in this mess. So I'll take it.
Just so you know, he rolled a nat 20 on his perception.
Son of a gun.
So it wouldn't have mattered.
Well,
Said he was on pins and needles.
yeah. So that gives you a plus 4 with whatever your result is.
Alright. I'll roll a normal and then we'll add a plus 4 to it.
Okay.
So, oops. That was the wrong button.
You need a dex save.
Where? Hold on.
It's in the top left of your character sheet.
Roll. Okay, yes. I was clicking it, but it wasn't working.
There you go. Okay, so
Now,
that
see,
would be
that's why you get the flash of genius. That's a 13.
13. Unfortunately, you managed to dive over the barrel, but you trip over the cart as it rolls in front of you and you fall prone. And your movement for the remainder of your turn is 0.
Alright.
But as you watch, as now it is his turn, he just full fucking sprint. He is dashing as fast as he can. So he's going to dash his full 60 feet as he's ducking to the left. You see just barely at the edge of your dark vision as he turns this corner to the left in this cavern area as you tripped and fell but looked up, catching yourself on your forearm just quick enough to look up and see where he is heading. But with that, Trash, what are you doing?
So even if I run like full speed ahead, he's turned a corner, so I can't see him anymore, right?
He would have just exited the extent of your dark vision. There are no lanterns here whatsoever. You see him just begin to turn left at the edge of your dark vision.
Okay.
And vanish.
So he is gone from my sight. I'm only asking because there's a spell I was going to cast, but I can't.
Gotcha.
See him.
I'll tell you what. Give me a perception check. You need to beat an 18. This is pretty high.
Oh.
If you beat an 18, I'll allow you to have line of sight just long enough to cast something.
Okay. Nope. I rolled a 12.
Okay. So just as you're going and you're beginning to speak whatever incantation was coming to mind, he ducks out of the way and you're like, shit! But you still do have your full movement. But you can see that he's ducked into the darkness somewhere to the left, about just at the extent of your dark vision. So about 60, 65 feet to the edge.
Okay. So all I've done is I've tried to, like, my action was try to do perception, and then do I have like a bonus action, or do I just move?
Yeah, you still have your bonus action. You can, you still have your movement.
Okay.
Well, I would say with your bonus, you would still have your action. I would say the perception was more like a bonus action, just because it was in you were about to cast a spell as your action. So I would say you still have your action.
Okay, ignore that. I was just trying to read it.
Right, that's fine. So you still have your action.
Okay.
So if you wanted to dash, you could move up to 60 feet from where you are now and get pretty close to where he vanished.
Okay, yeah, I guess I'll just move and then dash.
Okay. You come just to the edge of where this path breaks off to the left, and you can see now it's not as sharp a curve that you wouldn't be able to turn and see. It's kind of like maybe like just shy of a 45-degree angle as you turn, and you can see he is sprinted now. He is about like 35 feet down this narrowing passage, heading towards an even darker portion of this mine shaft. But now, Dazes, you are prone. You'll need to eat up half your movement to stand, but you still have your action and your bonus action.
All right.
But you're reduced to half your movement to stand up.
All right. Well, I will use half of my movement to stand.
Okay.
I will use the other half to continue chase.
Okay.
And then I will use bonus action dash.
Okay.
Key point
Gotcha.
for a step of the wind.
Okay.
And then with that, what is my distance?
If you
from him?
dash with your bonus action and then dash with your action, I would say you could probably get within 10 or 15 feet of him.
Oh, that's not bad. Okay.
Because you did see he had turned to the left, so it's not like he darted someplace you didn't see where he went. You knew where he was going. You just don't have quite enough movement to get right up on him. But I would say you're probably about 15 feet behind him.
All right.
As your Trash, you watch as Dazes stands up and just full sprint as fast as you've seen him go before. Just whips by you, almost like running along the edge of the wall and rotating parkour style as he runs after this young human man. But with that, seeing you catching up rapidly, Oh, I'm sorry. Was there anything else you wanted to do, Dazes, or was that everything? Because that would be your bonus action and your action.
Nah.
Okay.
That's it.
As he sees you behind him, and he knows, looking at you and how fast you're moving, that even if he were to dash all out, you would probably catch up to him. He turns after running his full movement, and you watch as the whites of his eyes go dark as he turns towards you. I need you to make an intelligence saving throw.
What in the fuck? Okay.
Oh, brother.
You're a little bit out of range of this, Trash, but Dazes, I need an intelligence saving throw.
Alright. Woo!
That you feel...
Ooh.
Oh, you feel this horrible, like, spike of pain in your forehead, but you're able to move through it and just grind, like, put your head down and push through it as this blast of psychic energy strikes you directly in the temple. You still take half damage. That's 4 points of psychic damage.
Alrighty.
But you see now he turns and looks, and he's just sprinting as fast as he can after this. Trash, you are up. You are about, I would say, 35, 40 feet behind this sprinting human lad, and probably about 25 feet behind Dazes.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try something. I don't know that it's gonna work, but hopefully it'll work.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to use what's it called? I have a spell. It is called Vortex Warp.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I know.
So I'm gonna
Vortex Warp.
try. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to cast it, and if it fails a con saving throw, then I'm gonna teleport him to in between me and Dazes.
Okay. What's the saving? Or what's the DC?
It is. I think it's just 15.
15? Okay. That's a 17 on that. So as you go to cast
Damn.
this spell, reaching out, you feel this spiral of energy like move around the feet of this individual. And as you're doing this and you're speaking the incantation, you watch as he just leaps up right as these jaws of energy try to wrap around and consume this young man. And he's just continuing to sprint.
I'm so stupid. Sorry, I was just looking through our backpacks, and we totally forgot about this.
Okay.
That's separate table talk. We had potions of invisibility. I'm really mad at our decision to not take those at this
I totally
moment.
forgot about those.
Yep, exactly. So I was like looking at my backpack and I was like, what the hell?
But anyway,
Anyway,
back to the top. This, one way or another, will be the final
So
round of
that-
this chase.
So
Oh, I'm
that
sorry,
was
go
my
ahead.
Action.
Yeah, you have your bonus action.
And I guess I can't really do much else. Let's see if I have anything.
That was a good try, though. He rolled really well. He does not have a great con. That was a really good roll.
I can try then as a spell as you move and cast this then as it's a bonus action on each of your turns. You can take the dash. So yeah, it doesn't really help. I was thinking maybe Expeditious Retreat would help me get there a little
Is that
faster.
a Expeditious
it's
Retreat is a
not how it
leveled
works.
spell, correct?
It is, but it doesn't. It wouldn't work the way I want it to, because the way it's like the verbiage
Right.
is, it says you
So
have to use
just-
a bonus action to take the dash action.
Sure.
So
just so you know, you can't cast more than one leveled spell in a turn.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate lets you do it, which is really broken for that reason, because there are some combos in D&D. Being able to cast 2 leveled spells in a turn would just break the game. That's why that rule is in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether it's a bonus action or an action. Yeah, you can cast a cantrip and a leveled spell, or like as an action or bonus action. Like that's what sorcerers do all the time, but with quicken spell. But yeah, it still can't be 2 leveled spells in a turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all I can really do is just keep running and.
Okay. Yeah, at this point you're like you catch up, just barely catch up to Dazes at this point. So you're both like side by side. With this young man who's just, you see Dazes kind of like right as you're catching up, he's like rubbing his temple like something had like popped him in the middle of the face. Speaking of that, Dazes, we're back to you.
All right, so he's in front of me still, right?
Right, he's about 50.
Did he stop?
No, he's still running. Yeah, he's still running. He's now about like 40-ish feet in front of you.
All right. I'm running.
Well, because he was 15. I'm sorry, 45 feet, because he was 15 feet ahead of you to start with.
Yeah.
Right.
So whatever it takes, I'm running past him.
Okay.
So he is, not all the way. I'm running up to him, and then I'm getting in front of him.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go like 10 feet in front of him. You know, I'm just gonna get in his way. While also, can I try to see if there are like any splits in these tunnels? Because I'm trying to trap him in between me and trash, but I don't want there to be another tunnel that he can like turn and run down.
At this point, there is this is a dead end. He is running straight at a dead end.
All right. Well, I still want him to be in between us.
Right. Is there anything else you want to do?
I'll run and get in front of him, and then I will attempt to. This might not work, but I will attempt to, like, I guess, grapple.
Okay.
My end goal is to maybe tie him in with rope.
Okay.
But step by step.
So go ahead and give me an athletics check. So this is going to be an opposed athletics against his acrobatics or athletics.
Mm-hmm.
But you're trying to grapple, so go ahead and give me an athletics. All right. Yeah, I think it's athletics in this case.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. You watch as he sees you stepping up and beginning to brace yourself as you go to grab. And as he does this, he just full-on linebacker ducks down even lower than you and drives his shoulder up into your sternum. And you feel the air just as he knocks you out of the way. Just full sprint. And you are unsuccessful in grappling him as he drives his shoulder. No damage, but just breaks the grapple by just barreling through you as fast as possible.
Yeah, all right.
He actually just rolled another nat 20.
This son of a gun.
He's been a feisty bitch. This dice is spicy tonight. That's my Drakenheim Delirium dice, dude. That thing is dangerous. But you feel as he just runs through. And as he does this, is there anything else you wanted to do?
Right, use my move. I use my action. Let me see. I'm gonna have a bonus action I can use or something. I don't know. Let me check real quick. I don't know if I want to punch him in the face. I'm considering it. Especially after he just barreled through me.
Right, so you use your action to try to grapple.
Mm-hmm.
So that's your action.
Action, yeah. And
So
then,
you don't.
I guess some of my movement, or all of my movement.
Right, you can still try to move. Technically, he did come through your melee range, so you could try to attack him because he is exiting your melee, barreling through you. So technically, that is an attack of opportunity. Like you don't get another attack in this instance because you tried to grapple with your action, but he is leaving your melee range, so it is technically an attack of opportunity.
Can I opt to do something instead of damage with the attack? Like trip him?
What you're trying to trip him?
Yeah. Or if I use the attack of opportunity, does it have to be a
it has to be an attack, yeah. Okay. It can be a non-lethal attack, but it still has to be an attack. If you were like a fighter, like a battle master, you could do a tripping attack. Because there are those types of things. Okay. But in this case, because he like barreled through you, I would say that the only thing you would probably be able to get is just like a glancing blow as he swings through, or he just like drives through you.
All right, sure. I'll try to glancingly punch him in the face, I guess.
Okay, go ahead and
not non-lethal.
Okay,
I'll say.
All right, go ahead and give me an attack roll.
I'll just do it unarmed strike.
Okay.
Why does this keep happening? Am I pressing the wrong button? This way.
17 hits. Go ahead and roll damage. Definitely a decent enough strike. You definitely catch the back of the head, and as you hit it, you can definitely feel like you definitely made contact, but he just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can see like there's a spot of like a bruise and some blood beginning to pool up on the back of the head as like the edge of your knuckles strike into the back of his head, but he just keeps going. Like regardless of the pain, just keeps barreling towards the edge of this dead end.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to do?
With I guess whatever remains of my movement,
Mm-hmm.
I will run in the opposite direction of the dead end.
Okay. As you run the other way, and this is going on, he turns and grabs something out of his pockets. This little vial of some sort of strange, viscous-looking, silvery liquid, and just tosses it to the ground and shatters this vial on the ground. In doing so, just this eruption of smoke just billows out throughout this cavern, like in this 30-foot wide area, and as it hits the walls, it just pushes back towards you all with no place else to go, just obscuring everything. As you cover your mouth instinctively, or just it's not like there's no like acrid scent, there's no ill effect, it's just some sort of like thick smoke, like almost like a chalky white smoke that came out of this vial and is just pouring as it reacts with the air. And it's you step back out of it to try to catch your breath as you do so at this point, and you don't see or hear anything from this individual as he ran towards the end of this cavern. Trash, we are on to you. What are you doing?
So I don't have visual right now, right? Because it's all just like a cloud?
It's like a cloud of smoke and ash. like a chalky white ashy smoke. It's thick but slowly dissipating over time, but you're not quite certain how much time. All you know is you can't see this individual who is running from you.
Okay, but they are running towards what we perceive to be a dead end, or they switched and started running back.
No, you haven't. They would have had to come past you. There was no other exit that you saw.
Okay, and would I have felt like a presence like whip past me or anything like that?
Give me a perception check.
That's a 13.
You feel pretty certain nobody came by. You didn't feel any movement. You didn't smell anything or, feel anything brush against you. But you're not 100% sure, but, as far as you can tell, you didn't see or hear anything come the other way, back towards you.
Okay. So what's... I'm trying to say, so me looking directly ahead to like where Dazes was and stuff before the vial was thrown down, like how many feet was that roughly?
Between the individual and the end of the dead end, or between him and Dazes? Dazes was like right on him, like within melee, when he actually struck him before he tossed down this vial.
Yeah, so last I saw, like, how far away were they compared to me?
Between the two of you, probably 30 feet, 35 feet.
Okay.
Because Dazes ran at him and was only about 25, 30 feet away when he started moving again, when he was right beside you at one point.
Okay. Well...
And you saw this individual, you saw Dazes run past him and try to stop him before this individual just shoulder checked him out of the way. And that's right before you saw him throw down this glass vial that turned into all this smoke.
Right. And best to my perception is nobody has run past me, but that would be the only way out of the dead end. But
yeah, you're certain
best to my
that,
knowledge,
yeah,
I don't think anyone has gone past me.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, no one has like come back the other way.
Okay.
All you see is vaguely you see Dazes at the edge of the smoke as he stepped out of it, and then you further back in clear air, but you don't feel or see anything come back the other way out of this smoke.
Okay. I'm trying things, and I hope they work, but if they don't, then it is what it is, kind of thing. But
better to try than to not try.
But I am gonna need to take a nap after this, so I'm saying there's a lot of action today. I'm gonna try to the best of my ability. I'm gonna cast like pretty much directly in front of me. Fairy fire.
Okay. You cast the spell. And you definitely sense something. And you see briefly some rocks and other loose minerals begin to glow with this greenish pale light. And in addition, only for the briefest of moments, you see a thin-framed individual peek out through this hazy mixture of smoke before the light vanishes. And you sense nothing. You see no movement. You see still the glow of the loose rocks around the ground and on the walls. But there is nothing moving after that split second where you saw this individual get caught in your fairy fire. You definitely know that they failed it because you saw them ever so briefly, but then they vanished anyway. What do you all do?
The smoke is still here, right? Has it about stopped spreading?
It takes about a minute for the smoke to kind of dissipate to the point where you can see to the opposite wall. And as you sort of just wave your hands away to try to move as much as you can to try to clear a path, you look on before, after about a minute, you see the end of this passage dead end. And there is no one there.
Not even a body?
Nothing. No
They
living
probably
thing.
use some sort of potion to teleport them out of the space or something like that.
One of you can each give me an investigation check, or one can roll investigation with advantage, your choice.
Investigation. My investigation is a +4.
Damn.
Alright. Do you want to just roll?
Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Okay. You can both roll investigation.
Did that roll twice?
No, I only see the one. I see your unarmed strike, and then I see investigation. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you did roll twice. We'll take the first one.
Yeah, I guess I don't know where that random D20 came from.
Yeah, that's weird. But good thing you rolled better than me, because I rolled a 6, so +4 would have been a 10.
Okay. Trash, at this distance, you don't really see anything other than the glow of your lingering fairy fire before the spell's energies fade into the ether. Dazes, as you push your way through the smoke, looking at the glowing, greenish glow mixed with the subtle blue hint of random veins of lunarium running up the wall, you just ever so faintly notice that as you look down at the very end of this cavern, something is amiss. One of the loose rocks on the ground, probably not much larger than a golf ball, although it glows, you notice it's as if half of this rock is cut off in a very distinct, sharp slant. And it seems odd. While all these other rocks seem relatively normal and obscure, as if they fell off the walls in a mining attempt, this one seems like it's cut off on the side that faces the wall in a very abnormal manner, as if a guillotine had fallen out of nothing and trimmed it in half from above, and it remains motionless like this in defiance of gravity even. And that's what draws your attention to this location. What do you do?
First thing I do is point this out to Trash to make sure I'm not imagining it.
You see the same thing, Trash. And
Okay.
as you see this, it also strikes you as extremely odd. Your stone, just as it begins the spell, the fairy fire spell begins to fade, you can see that it's like this rock is standing up on edge, as if it's been cut in half and then stood up on the side that is cut in half in defiance of gravity and the laws of the natural world. And it doesn't make sense. And now that your companion points it out to you, it really doesn't make sense as you observe it, just as the fairy fire fades.
Alright, and the second thing I want to do is I want to poke it with my quarterstaff from a quarterstaff length away.
You tap the stone forward with your quarterstaff, and the half that you can see vanishes into nothing as you push it forward.
I'm gonna try to stick some of my quarterstaff farther in that direction.
As you push your end of your quarterstaff through the end of the wall, it slowly sinks in as the portion you push through vanishes into nothing along with the stone. You feel no resistance. It's as if you're just pushing it through air, straight through the wall.
I want to try to pull it back.
You pull it right back. You feel no resistance either way.
Alright. We got a fake door situation here. Or maybe fake wall.
Okay. Do we retcon what we should have done earlier? Do we take our invisibility potions now and try to sneak in like we didn't clock that there was a fake, and we're like, oh no, we'll give up, like loudly, and then we secretly go?
So that's not a bad idea. But I was considering the possibility that we go back and inform our companions and have them join us, but
Yeah, but I'm afraid we're gonna lose our lead if we don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, how about maybe we pop our head in, and if we don't immediately like see them, then we turn around. Like if we walk in, like do a quick scope of new place, and we don't immediately see something, then we may go
Okay,
back.
Yeah, we can like just stick our heads in a little bit and take a look at what's behind door number 1. I'm cool with that.
What are you both doing?
Or going through the fake wall just a little bit.
Okay. How do you
Actually,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm gonna use my quarterstaff to make sure that there's like a floor past the fake wall, so I don't just like step into nothingness.
You extend your quarterstaff through, tapping at the ground. Feels like solid earth.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do that kind of like how blind people do it a little bit, at least until we get to a point where we can kind of see.
Sure. What do you do?
I guess we go for what, like 10 or so feet, maybe.
Okay. You step straight at a seemingly dead-end wall. And as you instinctively push your palm of your hand through the wall, it passes through effortlessly. As you push all the way through and step into an entirely different type of rocky, cavernous area. I'll go ahead and pull up that for you all. Most of it's going to be pretty dark right now, except for the bottom left. And this is what you see. Directly across, you step into this area on the far left, this flat wall area. Over here.
Okay.
You see in this area, the stone isn't completely different from the rocky walls that you see, or you've seen up until now. There is this echoiness to this cavernous space that differs from the space that you were at on the other side of this wall, and there's a dim glow coming from very clearly strange looking lanterns and these almost organic looking devices. One directly on your right, and then there seems to be like almost like some sort of energy holding this liquid to the wall directly across from you, and you see like fish and other like small aquatic creatures swimming through this liquefied gelatinous material held in by some sort of energy from the other side that's emitting this softish blue light. And that's all you see directly as you step in about 10 feet. What would you all like to do?
I'll just lean into rock door wall. It's like, Dazes. Because I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I'll be like, quietly, I'll be like, there's a whole cave system back here. Like, step through real quick.
I step through and
As you step through, Trash, you notice that these cave walls are completely different from the walls of the caves you've passed through up until now.
interesting.
The rock is different. It is not as smooth or chiseled out. It seems to be some sort of naturally occurring cavern of some kind. It's as if the entire makeup of this location is entirely different on the opposite side of this mysterious wall. You're not sure why, but you immediately, both of you can tell that this is a completely different environment from the one you just passed through on the other side. What do you do?
So, real quick, I want to do two things. One is just to look around this immediate area that we can see and see if there's any like like footsteps or anything that looks like somebody just passed through here.
Okay.
You know, like maybe the individual we were chasing.
Are you doing this stealthily, or are you just...
Yes, stealthily. I'm literally like mostly just like looking, like with my eyes. I'm not moving around too much because I don't want to make any noise.
Sure. Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Creep a little bit further through this opening. And as you step about 15 or 20 feet from the flat face wall and look back, you can see it is just a sheer, flat, blackened stoned wall. And you look at these walls around you, it's the same sort of blackened onyx mixture of marble and granite, this blackish stone. And as you step further out and you look to your left, you can see that there is a tunnel going to your left about 20-ish feet wide, about 10 to 12 feet tall. Just before you would step out into the open and be seen, you notice and step back. There is a number of creatures and a couple humanoid figures to your left. Go ahead and reveal here. To roughly the extent of your dark vision here. And you see a humanoid young woman gathering up moss and various things about this cavern in a basket. An otherwise not unusual sight, were it not for the pair of cranial creatures with 4 legs skittering about beside her. And yet she does not run in fear, but simply goes about her business as these creatures scuttle about. As you step back towards the wall, recognizing these brain-like 4-legged creatures surrounding this area. What do you do?
Well, I whisper to Trash. There's a lady over there, and 2 of those intellect devourers.
Okay, but not our dude, right? For the person from earlier.
I don't see him.
I think we should turn around and grab Floof.
I think
And
that's a
come
good
back.
idea.
And then we can take our invisibility potions.
Okay. And the second thing I want to do right before we exit and go back is just like looking at the shape sort of this area
Mm-hmm.
of what we've seen thus far, and I guess when we go back through looking at like the shape of like the tunnels that we were in before, and like going by memory of like the layout of how those tunnels are, I'm just trying to figure out if it makes sense like that these 2 different groups of cave system could exist geographically in this way, or if it seems like this invisible like wall door that we're passing through is more of like something that's bringing us to a literal different like location. I guess you could also just be like, is this magic wall like, or is this wall
You're not
like,
proficient in
magic
Arcana, are you?
Right. So I don't
you
have like a
can-
magic basis for this. I'm just
Sure.
trying to be like,
Yeah,
does it
give
make
me
sense that these caves could exist like this?
give me a survival check.
Okay.
I think that's the most appropriate in this situation. The 15, you feel fairly confident that these 2 locations are sparsely different from each other.
Yeah.
There is a definitive difference between these 2 locations. Stone doesn't just change like that rapidly. Not naturally, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Trash, what are you doing?
Just waiting for Dazes, really, and then trying to see if we can leave without being detected and try to go rally the rest of our party.
Okay. Fair enough. With your prior stealth, you step back through this mysterious, illusory you're not certain what kind of magic this is, but you understand that there's something arcane about this wall. You don't know if it's illusion. You don't know if it's some sort of transportation magic. You don't quite understand it at the moment. But you step back through into the dead-end wall that you had chased this mysterious young human man through. Stepping back slowly and carefully before, once you feel confident that you are far enough away, heading back rapidly toward your companions. While that's going on, Floof. Your companions have been gone now for about, 30, 45, almost an hour. What are you doing?
I'm mostly following Camille's lead, but I suspect that we would have both been continuing our distraction and hopefully with some success, extracting Lunarium from the wall. And if an opportunity arose for me to take a sample, I will have done that as well.
Go ahead and give me... Give me a... You can give me either a strength or a dex check, your choice. To see if you can secure some Lunarium. And depending on... It's not a 100% pass-fail. It's just depending on...
Okay.
We'll see. So roll whichever you prefer, and we'll see what the outcome of that is.
I think strength is a better stat, but I think that after slamming at the wall earlier, I would have probably been trying to be more dexterous, so I'll roll dex.
Okay.
If it lets me. All right, here's a d20 plus 2. I don't know why this is bugging out. Oh, 21. There you go.
Oh, so it's just a... Okay, so it'll be 21 total.
Yeah, for some reason the dex button isn't working.
Sure.
D&D Beyond.
With your experience from the last time you tried to strike this wall with an aggressive blow, you realize that perhaps being a bit more subtle would be in your favor. And as Gamil chips away some of this rock salt, you notice a few things before, with a well-placed timed blow between the two of you, a softball-sized chunk of Lunarium falls out of this wall and at your feet. Probably outside of the piece that you pulled from that was pulled from the body of the massive sea monster along the coast. This is probably the largest single piece you've ever seen. It's as big as one of your fists.
I mean, I'll examine it, but I'll kind of almost hold it and gesture towards Camille with the face that asks, what should I do with this?
That is up to you. I would... And he looks over his shoulders and, if you intend to take that for yourself or your companions, I would put it away quickly. Otherwise, I would put it in the... If you don't intend to keep it, put it in the barrel. But that is your choice.
I will, keep the softball-sized piece of Lunarium.
Okay. Go ahead and just, for shits and giggles, it's not a high roll, but go ahead and give me a sleight of hand.
Alright. I'm rolling crazy today.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Ignore that second one.
Yeah, effortlessly, you just shove this large piece of lunarium deep into your satchel side bag, deep below a bunch of other materials to block any illuminating light from this piece of crystal. As you can feel its weight. As it like rests beside, you can feel it thrumming with energy. And at this distance now, go ahead and give me a nature check with advantage.
Okay.
Or nature or arcana, your choice.
Nature's fine.
Okay. That same sort of energy that you felt earlier, almost like the charge before an oncoming thunderstorm. You feel that energy. But now in this close proximity to this large chunk of lunarium, you felt a similar sort of natural energy. In fact, you feel it every day. You feel it when you are deep in an area filled with life. An energy that is, up until now, you assumed was some sort of unnatural material. But at this proximity, you're beginning to feel something different. You feel this material is anything but unnatural.
Interesting.
It feels like life itself. The very energy of this living world. And in addition to that, you feel another sort of sense of deja vu as that piece of lunarium rested in your palm. In fact, you feel it. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's so close. Same sort of energy you felt every day. Every day for the past weeks or month now, ever since you came to Tierhelm, you've felt this presence, this energy from something. And that's what you garner from that.
Okay.
Shortly thereafter, this work, also Floof, if you would like to take, well, we'll come back to this later.
Okay.
Shortly after you pocket this lunarium, you hear footsteps coming your way, and you instinctively start just hammering on a random wall before you realize that your companions have slipped back into the cavern as you see Dazes and Trash stepping towards you and Gamil. With that, what do you all do?
I'll ask, you find Scarman?
I spill every bean.
Okay. My eyes widen at particularly the thought of the intellect devourers that you saw.
That is fantastic. You are telling me that you found this individual. He got away, but you found some strange magical wall that brought you someplace else. Or into a different location. I don't quite understand, but this has to be it.
It's definitely something.
Well, I guess the choice is, do we take some time to perhaps rest a bit here and then pursue this new strange avenue? Or do we head there straight away? Personally, I would at least long for a short respite, that I might recover some of my energies.
I nod, sensing an encounter coming soon. And I also have some energy I'd like to regain.
I have no problem with that.
Yep, that works for me.
I look in the barrel. I see how full did y'all get the barrel while we were gone?
It's mostly rock salt with some powdered lunarium on top. You can tell that what little these guys have carved out, they've just barely put on top and then like covered the rest with rocks and
I don't think we're getting paid.
It is doubtful. I am not much of a mason. Your friend might have picked up something special, though. You might want to discuss with him. But for the time being, yes, if anyone asks, we are still working diligently. But after we take a short break, I would recommend that we, leave here quickly.
I'll pull trash to the side and in a way to block the light from the path behind us, just in case somebody should come. I would like to offer her the softball of that's a measurement now of lunarium.
the fist of lunarium.
Yes. Because correct me if I'm wrong. You have like a bag of holding or something, don't you?
Sure do.
And I'd say maybe you keep safe.
Mhm. Yep, I could take.
Before I hand it over, I will say, like, maybe I get another flash of that deja vu / whatever from thing, and I'll say, wrong about lunarium. More natural than anything I've felt before. And above the table, I think I had a disdain for lunarium because I thought it was unnatural, and I now feel different.
So you hand the lunarium
Yes.
over to Trash?
Yes.
Trash. As your companion hands you this softball-sized chunk of crystallized lunarium, unfurling it from a seemingly random piece of fabric in his satchel, just as it drops into your gelatinous hand, Floof, you suddenly realize where that deja vu is coming from. In Trash, you feel this stone, this crystallized rock, beginning to thrum and resonate in your hand. And as it begins to resonate, everything from the palm of your hand, almost what could be conceived as your shoulder, your arm, your elbow, all the way to almost the center of your chest, goes from the cloudy green color that you traditionally don to a almost crystalline aquamarine blue, as this energy resonates and thrums from the tips of your fingers up to this almost the center of your chest, as this color of your person changes from the greenish hue to the bluish color of Lunarium. And Floof, that sense of deja vu is never been stronger as you sense that same sort of energy resonating from your companion.
I think I'll ask, do you feel that? Or did you feel that?
You definitely feel it,
Yeah. I just...
but you're uncertain why.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm more curious about this stuff than ever. The Lunarium itself, and of course, whatever the deja vu, whatever memory or whatever is at the tip of my brain.
It's not so much a memory. It's just a feeling you've had since the day you've met your companion Trash.
Okay.
And now it suddenly makes sense. This same sort of intense, sort of concentrated life essence, if you will. This lifelike energy. You've felt it for the past few weeks and almost a month now. Ever since you met Trash. Ever since you've been around her.
Okay.
Trash. Do you put the chunk of Lunarium away in your pack, or what do you do with it?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at Floof like I don't know what this means. Like, should I try to take it? Should I try to absorb this? I don't know what this means. Like, am I made of this stuff? I don't understand.
Give me an Arcana check, Trash.
Arcana. 21 total.
As you hold this lump of Lunarium in your hand, you feel it resonate in your hand. You focus your own arcane energies around it, through it, allowing that thrum of energy to pass all the way through your body to your very core, or what you could only assume is the core of your being. You feel it radiate from the tips of your fingers all the way to that central location, wherever that might be in your body. And as you're doing this instinctively, Floof, you watch as the outer edges of this crystal are beginning to liquefy in the palm of her hand and slowly shrink. Trash, you don't even realize this is happening as you're gripping this stone, but it is slowly liquefying and shrinking in your hands. And it's only a few seconds later where you're like, and you stop that focus, and it stops absorbing into your form. You instinctively don't even know what you were doing, but you feel this energy having been drawn out from this lump of Lunarium in your hand. What's the highest level spell slot you can cast right now?
Right now, I think it should be 2, if I'm not mistaken, second level.
You regain 1 second level spell slot.
Okay.
And if you were already full, you just have an extra one in the pocket.
Okay.
Unsure of what's going on, you just instinctively shove the remainder of the stone in the bag of holding, but it is shrunk probably at least 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch in diameter, down to about the size of a baseball.
Well, I'm gonna ask, what was that? Are you okay?
I don't know.
You feel good. In fact, you feel
I
normal, better than normal.
I feel powerful, healthy. I don't know what I was doing. It wasn't conscious.
I'm as curious as ever.
With that exchange, you all take a few turns to just make a bit of noise here and there as you take your short rest. So if you would like to take a short rest, regain some spell slots or abilities, or whatever your short rest affords you, or spend some hit dice, you are welcome to do so.
I always forget this. If I short rest, can I change spells that I have?
Not on a short rest. That's on a
Okay.
long rest for
All right,
you,
that's
because
what
they're
I thought.
prepared spells. You regain your wild shapes on a short rest, I believe.
Yes.
Right. And then if you'd like to, any of you would like to spend hit dice or regain, it'll specifically tell you what you can regain on a short rest.
Okay. I'm just gonna. I know he was down 1 HP. I'm just gonna go ahead and give that back.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to do as a group before attempting to set out back towards this mysterious wall within the depths of this mining operation?
All right. I'm gonna try to see. How long does attunement require again?
Attunement, depending on the item, if it doesn't specifically say, it usually takes an hour or two of concentration to attune to it. So if you're attempting to attune to the new ring, I would imagine between the time that you received it that evening and then now, that you would have had time to attune to it.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Cool.
And that goes the same for you as well, Floof.
Copy.
Because I believe the sickle that you picked up is, it requires attunement. So you should see under your inventory there's a subheader that says attunement. Until you activate that, it doesn't give you the bonus effects of the item.
Okay.
The passive effects of the item.
I would like to watch to make sure that Trash put the Lunarium into the bag. If she hasn't already, just to make as a curiosity and concern, I just want to make sure this thing isn't doing anything else to her while she's maintaining physical contact with it.
Have you taken it back out of the bag, Trash, or is it still in your bag of holding?
It's in the bag of holding because
Okay.
I'm also very shocked at like what I was kind of just doing upon instinct. Like that wasn't a conscious effort. So I'm also a little bit creeped out. Like I don't want to. I kind of like think of it as like, this is insanely important, but also the stakes are so high right now. I'm going to shove this fire in a corner and deal with the larger fire, and then I will address the fire after the main fire has been defired. Like, it's like one of that. It's like that kind of feeling.
That is the best analogy I've heard. I'm gonna shove this fire under the rug. I hope it doesn't burn the house down, and then I'm gonna go put out the fire in the kitchen.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna hope when I come back, this fire's not a bigger problem.
Exactly.
This is tomorrow me's problem. Well, very well. Well, with that, you all have a choice to make. Do you want to just start heading towards your destination and potentially cause some controversy with the stakeholders of this claim, or do you all intend as a group to try to sneak away towards your destination? How do you want to proceed?
My suggestion is we drink the invisibility potions. I think we only have one for each of us, unfortunately. But we'd move a little bit less inconspicuous as 4 stealthy individuals and more like 1 stealthy individual, right?
I'll suggest that I can take a wild shape of a snake
Oh,
or something again, and
or like a yeah.
slither in if the 3 of you would prefer to keep the invisibility
Yeah.
potion.
I actually picked up something that might assist us a bit more if you would like to drink the potions.
And he pulls out a vial, and you saw him purchase something at the that black market that you all were at with the handyman. It's a small vial of this brackish yellow liquid.
As far as I know, and I have no reason to doubt Heinrich when I purchase this from him, but this should give me an equivalent amount of time to, how do I say, take a different form, if you will. One a bit more airy? I don't know the exact word, but less conspicuous at least. If you all would like to, of course, drink your potions, or however you would like to proceed, this would be perhaps not only give me a bit of, not invisibility, but less conspicuousness and the ability to see from a higher vantage point.
Cool.
Yeah, go for it.
Quick question about. Well, I guess we'll find out after we drink the potion, which I suspect we're about to do. Tell you what, I'm gonna drink the invisibility potion.
Okay. You all watch as Floof pops the cork on the invisibility potion and downs it. And mere seconds later, you watch as the Goliath companion of yours just vanishes from sight. What do you all do?
I also drank one.
Yep, follow suit.
All 3 of you vanish, leaving only Gamil in the cavernous entrance. And you watch, well, and he pops the cork.
Bottoms up.
And as he drinks, he doesn't go invisible, but you watch as his form becomes near transparent and amorphous before it just begins to move and sway like smoke. And before you know it, the form is gone, and there is just, after about a minute or so, he is left just this yellowish grayish cloud that begins to float up to the upper portion of the the ceiling of this cavern as he takes a potion of gaseous form.
I want to smell the air and see if I'm able to detect any of my companions, so I can no longer see them.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check. Yeah, just a normal perception because you're relying on scent more so than visual. Yes. Yeah, without a doubt, you can still smell the salty-ish, sort of perspiration of your companion Dazes and the sort of semi-sweet, semi-acrid scent of your companion Trash.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I have means of keeping at least some kind of pinpoint on their location around me in my proximity, so good to know.
And as you're sniffing about, you suddenly see this cloud kind of descend down between conceivably where you last three were standing before going invisible, and you hear this sort of soft ethereal whisper from the cloud. Well, shall we be on our way? I will try to, if I see any dangers going forward, I will try to point them out. So be cautious. And if you see, and he begins to circle in a sort of rhythmic pattern, almost kind of making like a figure eight. If you see this maneuver, know that I'm telling you danger is approaching or is in imminent vicinity. And it's strange. You hear Gamil's voice just ever so faintly, but it's coming from nothing. It's coming from this cloud of particles in the air. So it's a little weird and creepy. It's like talking to the fog. But I will follow you from over... Well, that seems a bit counterintuitive, since I cannot see you.
Yeah, we didn't think about this. So
No, we did not.
Wait, sorry, I totally missed it. No, it might look weird because he'll be floating in the air, right? If we like try to carry him, it's gonna look like that doesn't.
Well, there is another option. And you see there's the empty bottle. If I fly within the bottle, can you carry me with you for the time being?
Okay.
Yes, this is good. And you see the bottle lying on the ground, and this cloud of like yellowish, grayish mist just slowly funnels into this tiny bottle where the liquid had been. If one of you wants to pick up the essence of Gamil. He doesn't like grab the cork or anything. He can't really grab anything, but he just floats inside the empty bottle.
I mean, I'll grab the cork. I'm also going to hold. I'm going to sniff around and feel for Dazes and kind of grab a hand or put a hand on his shoulder or something, because I don't know where we're going necessarily.
Right.
So I need him to lead me there.
We can hold hands.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do a line maybe, and then.
Yeah, like a single file kind of deal.
Right.
Yep.
Dazes, you feel a invisible, like, large mitt hand grab onto your shoulder. It's a bit unsettling at first before you realize, oh, it's just Floof. Nevertheless, if everyone wants to give me a stealth check with advantage, because you are still moving, you do make sound, but you have advantage because they can't see you. Okay.
My stealth rolls today have been.
Yeah, for the
My goodness.
dexterous individual, you've been yeah. I mean, it wasn't a super high DC, so
Stop
with two.
carrying that massive, ring of keys on the side pocket.
Why do you have all these pots and pans on your waist? What the fuck?
It makes so much noise.
When they said I wanted to cast iron, it didn't mean I wanted pots and pans banging against you. But anyway, with that, you slip out towards your prior destination where you had encountered the strange, extremely suspicious individual that then later ran from you, where you then encountered this mysterious magical wall. It takes you about 20 or so, well, about 10 or 15 minutes to get there, we'll say. You have about an hour of invisibility, so keep that in mind. I would say it takes you about 10 minutes. I'll be generous. It'll take you about 10 minutes to get back to the wall. And if you guys want to drop your tokens in the map as you hit the wall here, we'll go ahead and go from there. But the wall itself is this space here to the far left is where you would enter. Yeah, so somewhere within 10 feet of that wall is where we would start here. Also, Trash, I forgot to ask, did you rebuild your Steel Defender?
Yeah, I would say that hopefully
During
I would
your
have had
long
like
rest?
Exactly. I would have had a
Yeah,
period of time
okay.
where I would have been able to
Yeah, I would
cobble them
imagine.
back together.
Yeah.
My poor little baby.
All right. But we'll keep that in mind. If you want to drop your token on the board, Trash,
Yeah, I'm gonna drop me.
then you guys can move around at will. But once everyone's in position, I think with that, we'll go ahead and stop there for this evening because we've been going for about almost 3.5 hours. I think that's a good stopping point for today. We'll be getting into some hot and heavy stuff here
I
shortly.
was gonna say it's gonna be intense.